Welcome to Frontline Fantasy Football. This is your host, Jason Cameron, and I'm joined by my co-host, Brandon Alessio.
Hello, Jonathan.
Oh, hello.
I'm Jason. And we're also joined by Jonathan, who is the co-host and producer today.
Doing double duty.
And we're starting off very mature. Okay, so
Didn't mean it that way.
before we get started off, we wanted to say thank you to toiletlosers.com. They sent us some loser trophies, as you can see. You can see we got a bobblehead one, guy sitting on his toilet with the pants down. Got a laptop. You can engrave right here. We put loser because, we didn't want to put Frontline Fantasy Football on a loser trophy because we're obviously not losers. And then we got this beautiful toilet one, as Brandon is hand modeling right now. So make sure you check them out. Frontline. No, not Frontline Fantasy Football. You can actually, we're going to put a link on our website, frontlinefantasyfootball.com, but you can also check them out at toiletlosers.com / So you got to put that / on there to see their product, and you can buy them only off Amazon. So check them out. Super high quality. We enjoy them. Get them for your league, for the losers of your league. So let's how are you guys doing?
I'm doing excellent. We got nice sponsorship right here. I'm in a great mood.
Jonathan,
I'm doing good.
How do you feel about being the producer?
It's different.
Are you nervous?
I hope I don't forget anything.
Do you have sound drops and stuff ready to go?
No.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
In my spare time, I could try to download an app.
No, you're good.
Very good.
All right.
I knew the answer. I was just messing with you.
Making me feel bad.
Yeah. That's what I do. Normally I try to make Brandon feel bad, but you'll have to do.
All right.
Okay, so let's go into injuries. First injury up is Rob Kelly, high ankle sprain. Andy had a knee injury, I think his MCL sprain, so that he is officially on IR, which is, I think, is good. So you don't have to keep worrying about him and keep.
It's not good for him.
Not for him.
He's
obviously.
made of glass. Made of glass.
He is, and that quote "made of glass" was used about somebody last week, and he has also been placed on IR. Jonathan said C.J. Prosise was made of glass. And he was in for about 5 snaps and got hurt his ankle.
Typical.
Didn't we talk about how we were excited about him coming back?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Figures.
I thought he was a sneaky pickup, which he would have been if he would have played. But
it's the story of the season, though.
Yes.
Excited about a player injury.
Oh, I know.
And then the third injury, just basically the major offensive injury, the fantasy football relevant injury, was Phillip Rivers, concussion. Going through the concussion protocol, probably going to play this week, but just watch out for that if you have him on your roster. Mm-hmm. So next we'll go into news. Brandon, I think this first one applies to you. Brandon's a Bills fan. Tyrod Taylor benched for Nate Peterman. Nate Peterman out of Pitt. Brandon will have a rant section on that later on in the podcast, so stick around for that. So we're not going to let you comment right now on that. We'll let you save up that positive energy. I was going to say, but we'll let you save that positive energy for later on. And Jonathan, Zeke.
Yeah. So actually, it's Wednesday right now. A few hours ago, Zeke announced that he's dropping his appeal of his suspension. So basically, he's not going to fight it anymore, and he is taking the 6-game penalty, and he'll be back in December.
So playoff-wise.
So he comes back week 16, which is basically that's going to be your championship week right there. So if you have him and you think you're going to be playoff eligible, keep him around. But
he is playing the Seahawks when he comes back, and I know Matthew Berry tweeted out that they were the 4th best defense over the past 3 weeks, or the 3rd best defense over the past 4 weeks, run defense. So
ask Adrian Peterson about that.
Not a great matchup, yeah.
But it's Zeke. Like
it is, yeah.
He's almost matchup proof a little bit. Obviously, tougher matchups he's not going to do as well, but
right.
He's matchup proof a little bit.
And if Tyron Smith isn't back, then
it's risky.
Then yeah, well, because his replacement gave up 6 sacks last week, so not good.
No.
So let's go on to dogs versus babies. week 3 of this.
Oh, yeah.
We had Cam Newton versus Dak Prescott. Both Khaleesi, Seth's dog, and Chief Brandon's dog chose Dak Prescott. And Ezra, Jonathan's son, and Blake, my son, chose Cam Newton. And as you know, Cam Newton dominated this week. He had 35.5 points to Dak Prescott's 13.2. So that puts the final standings, dogs 2-6, babies 3-6. So took the lead.
Yeah, babies.
Has Khaleesi even gotten one right yet?
He's 1 for 3, same as Chief.
Chief's still a good boy.
So throwing shade.
I was gonna say, I feel like Chief's pulling all the weight.
Actually, everybody is 1-3 except for Blake. He's 2-3.
Oh,
So
Collusion.
nice.
shout out to Blake.
I think he's taking multiple takes. We all knew Cam was going to do better.
Yeah, right. I definitely did not do multiple takes.
I would do multiple takes, but those treats, that's not going to be good for Chief. He keeps picking the wrong one over and over again. I mean,
I do have to comment on your videography skills because
I was in a big hurry.
watching ours, I mean, it looks great. I mean, you don't have to feel like you're turning your head to the side. Yours is like a tornado.
It's
Like,
abstract.
it's literally like you threw it in a tornado and it's spinning round and round, just looking down, and that's what you're seeing.
And then he goes out and then picks the wrong one. Which is
I will have to say it was better than Seth's video because,
why? Would he drop his in a hurricane?
well, no,
Oh, earthquake.
basically you couldn't see the result for Seth.
Yeah, I thought that was Brandon. Yeah, you're right. That was Seth.
Yeah, you saw the note cards and you
Yeah.
couldn't read the note cards, and then at the end of it, it's like it shows debt, and then it cut off. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Pretty sure that was Cam.
Poor editing, poor directing.
yeah.
Poor lighting.
I think the
For
babies are
special
just
effect.
on point.
Yeah, they are.
They're mom managers. Make sure they're ready to go.
True.
I give Chief a good pep talk this week. Get his head back in the game.
Yeah, you better. We should decide what we're doing. We should obviously do a tight end this week.
It's a good idea.
Let's check out. I'll go to my weekly rankings real quick and pick a couple people that are right next to each other. So we could do Jared Cook, Delaney Walker, Jimmy Graham, Evan Ingram.
I like that.
You like that one too, B?
I'm all for it.
All right. Evan Ingram, Jimmy Graham. Week 11, dogs versus babies.
Don't fail me, Chief. Now
Bet
you're
he
smarter
does.
than those two kids.
Dogs need a big comeback. So let's move on to our next section called Trust Issues. Jonathan, do you want to describe this one?
Yeah, so this one is just naming some players and talking about some players that are hard to trust right now, whether that's because they've been performing badly or they're inconsistent or a number of reasons. So,
Football players or just like players in general?
probably most likely football players.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
There could be players inside, though.
if you want to
true.
if you want to play some personal players in your life, then
Nick Young,
go for it.
True.
Call that out.
Brandon's boy. All right, Jonathan, you can lead us off.
Okay, my first one I had was Rex Burkhead.
What's so funny?
Nothing.
The emphasis on the name. Last week,
Smiling.
last week he did pretty good. He had 10 carries for 36 yards, and then 3 catches for 27 yards and a touchdown. Since returning from injury, his snap rate keeps going up from 17.6 to 31.4, now to 51.4. So he's seeing the field a lot more, getting it done. He's rushing, he's catching passes, good for PPR. But still, it's hard to trust him just because he's on the Patriots. But so that's my reasoning. I mean, I like him, but it's just hard to predict who's going to get the snaps from week to week.
So kind of going forward, that Patriots backfield, do you want to shine some clarity on it? Who would you rather have, or how would you rank them right now?
It's tough.
Deion Lewis at number 1.
Definitely Deion Lewis, just because he gets most of the carries, it seems like. I would put Burkhead number 2 right now, just because of his percentage on the field. But then just keep in mind that can change at any point, because Belichick is he game plans differently all the time.
Fumble the ball.
And
once
Mike
you're out for the
Gillislee was
season.
out this game.
Right.
Oh.
He was a
Gillislee's a no factor.
he was a healthy inactive, which is interesting. And then obviously James White, probably number 3.
I'd have to agree. Brandon, do you want to move on to your first person with trust issues?
So trust issues. I'd say Isaiah Crowell, because I'm starting to trust him now, and I don't like that. I don't like that one bit.
actually had him as well.
Yeah, he has back. If you're a listener of this show, or if you've listened in previous episodes, you know when we talk about mediocrity, Isaiah Crowell's name gets called nearly every time. But for 2 weeks straight now, he has found the end zone, and for 2 weeks straight,
what?
I know, and he's had 15 points 2 weeks in a row. So I mean, sadly, I've been trusting him all season because I've had to. But if you have a decent team and he's been on your bench, he might be bringing up some trust issues.
Well, that's interesting that you've been trusting him. So your team must be struggling, right?
Oh, my team has gone down the toilet. Speaking of toilets, we got these brand new trophies from toiletlosers.com.
Backslash.
Backslash. I don't even know. From Basically, if you're a loser in your league, you can get one of these. Great prices, great quality, great craftsmanship. Give it a flush.
Very good quality. You could hit somebody over the head and knock them out with those. So
Porcelain.
just thought, yeah, the real deal.
But yeah, moving on.
So my first person with trust issues is DeMarco Murray. I think he's been teasing you all season. I mean, last game, 14 carries, 42 yards. Just so happened to rush for 2 touchdowns and catch a game-winning touchdown. So ended up with 25.2 points standard. But the previous week, he had 9 carries, 19 yards. And the previous week before that, 18 carries for 59 yards against the Browns. So he's all over the place. Can't really trust him. But I think going forward, he's going to play Pittsburgh, Colts, Houston, Arizona. And I honestly don't really like those matchups.
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts you think is a good matchup, but they just held Le'Veon Bell without any touchdowns. I don't think he hit 100 yards either in rushing. So
no,
not really looking good. It's last week before the trade deadline, I believe.
Yes.
So maybe look to trade high.
It's a good idea. I mean, yeah, just because his usage and efficiency has still been bad. If I can talk tonight, he had 14 carries for 42 yards, and when you take away those touchdowns,
It's 3 yards to carry.
Yeah.
It's no good.
not good. So I mean, he was a touchdown machine, but you can't expect those to keep happening.
I agree. Jonathan, your next one.
My next one is someone that you could have trusted in the beginning of the season, but now he has gone downhill. C.J. Anderson, now playing in the 3-man backfield. He, after having at least 50% of the team rushing attempts in the first 6 games, he's gone down to 48% to 47%, now down to 35%. So he just keeps losing carries and he just keeps losing work on the field. He's losing receiving work to Booker. He's being spelled by Jamal Charles all the time. Just not trustworthy at all. So this one's tough.
Going forward, what do you want with it? Or what would you say?
This one's hard because you can't start him really. You can't trade him. This one you almost just have to hold or drop.
Is he borderline flex or just you wouldn't even consider him?
He's borderline if
I'd
you're
flex
desperate.
But I'm also desperate.
I think, yeah, I know. I think you're probably just going to get around like 6 points every game is what I'm expecting.
Fun fact that I wrote about in our starts and sits on FrontlineFantasyFootball.com last week. He's only had 2 games with double-digit fantasy points this season.
Mm-hmm.
Not good. Also, you can check Brandon's starts and sits out under Jonathan's blog section, the Fantasy Hangover. So if you're looking on our website for that page, you can.
Getting hungover twice this week.
Nice.
Double hangover.
How's that different from any other week, B?
It isn't.
Oh. So your next one, B.
Next one is somebody I didn't trust the entire season, but others did, and that is Adrian Peterson. Very big trust issues. Last week he struggled against a good front line or defensive line and with a terrible offensive line. However, his offensive line isn't going to get any better, and he's been boom or bust in his tenure with the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh.
No, he didn't even boom with the Saints.
True.
He just busted.
Not to mention that David Johnson may be coming back soon too.
True.
So his time seems to be limited.
Because, last week 21 carries for 29 yards, which people are saying wasn't entirely his fault. But when it comes to fantasy football, at the end of the day, 21 or 29 yards isn't good.
No.
Do you want to shine some light on that, David Johnson?
Yeah. So he got his cast off this past Monday. And so basically what they said, you can expect him to be able to come back 2 to 3 weeks after he gets his cast off. So now he's going through rehab, get his wrist back up to speed. So basically, he could come back as soon as 2 weeks, week 13.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Brandon, you should trade me him.
Send me some offers.
Oh,
Some real ones.
after the podcast. By the way, today is November 15th, 2017. So
AD.
Wednesday. Thank you for that clarification. My next rant is somebody I haven't, or not rant, sorry.
I was wondering what you were going
You
with
can
that.
turn it
My
into a
next
rant.
trust issue is not really a trust issue for me, but I've seen trust issue. I've been asked about him a lot. That's Michael Thomas. People are not believing in Michael Thomas because, I mean, honestly, starting in week 6, 3 receptions, 11 yards, week 7, 7 receptions, 82 yards, 8, 7 receptions, 77 yards, week 9, 8 receptions, 65 yards, and then finally week 10, 9 receptions, 117 yards. So really, he's only had 3 double-digit weeks this year in standard, and that's, I mean, considering you've drafted him around that 10 to 15 range, that's obviously not what you want, but you should always play him. I mean, the last 4 games, 7, 7, 8, and 9 catches. So PPR, he's going to be a stud, but in standard, you just got to play him. He's eventually going to bust out. He's eventually going to come back to the mean.
And I think he's still doing really well for how Drew Brees is like throwing the least amount of pass attempts that he has like his whole career. So it's like, and because they're running it all the time with Mark Ingram and Kamara.
6 rushing touchdowns last game.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, they're just running a lot, which is why Thomas isn't feasting as much as he did last year. But
I was going to mention that too. Just they've become a rush first team now, surprisingly. But
is Drew Brees rushing dependent? Because he rushed for a touchdown last week.
I saw that. Only the Bills would give up a rushing touchdown to freaking Drew Brees.
Seriously.
Is that a yes or
No,
No.
Oh,
not at all.
Jonathan, your last one.
Last one is Doug Martin. When he came back week 5, I believe, in the first couple weeks he's done pretty well. After that, now he's had 3 straight games as a running back, 3 or lower, but he's had 19 or more touches in 3 of his past 4 games.
Just done nothing with him.
Exactly. He hasn't. Yeah, he has a carry. He doesn't have very many points from those carries. It's hard to trust him too, just because the Buccaneers are performing so terribly. Ryan Fitzpatrick is the starting QB, and they've looked pretty bad. But his schedule does get lighter from here on out, so it's easier to trust him. But still, if you have better options, I'm benching him.
Flex play for me still, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But I just wouldn't expect those running back 2 numbers that you did
Especially
at
after
the beginning.
week 1.
Yeah.
Week 1, he looked really good.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he had double-digit points his first couple outings that he was back. So,
All right, Brandon, your last one.
Mine's a combination of 2 people, but it's Lamar Miller, just because he's been disappointing throughout the entire season, and he's splitting quite a few carries with Foreman and had less carries than him 2 weeks ago, which isn't good. But also Will Fuller, just because Will Fuller, as you know, hasn't caught a touchdown or exceeded 3.5 points since Watson went down.
Is he droppable?
Yeah.
heck
Or
yes, he is.
maybe trick somebody into trading for him, but I would never start Will Fuller.
No.
And my team's garbage.
No, I think it literally comes down to Watson getting injured. Before Watson was injured, you could trust them without a doubt. Lamar Miller was having the best games of his life with Watson in. So was Will Fuller,
No.
And then, I mean, that's when Miller had like his plus 20, 2 plus 20 point games. Yeah. But I mean, Miller is just, he has a solid floor, but he's nothing huge.
Unfortunately, yeah. I had to drop Fuller, so.
Yeah, you kept trying to trade him to me last week.
I did.
You have to trade him to a taco. You can't trade him to
Speaking of that, had you not traded me, Evan Ingram, you would have scored, what did he score? He scored 10 more points. You would have scored 3 more points, and you lost by 1 point last week.
But I also got 10 out of Landry.
Oh, true.
You guys did do a trade?
Yep.
Nice.
What was it? So I received Chris Hogan and Evan Ingram, and I gave up Amari Cooper, Jarvis Landry, and Delaney Walker. Who won that trade?
I don't think Hogan's going to emulate what he did at the beginning of the season, though.
Amari Cooper.
He's already starting to go downhill before he got hurt.
Is it PPR or standard?
Standard.
Ooh.
PPR, I wouldn't have gave up Landry.
I needed to win. I needed to win now.
I don't know who. It's pretty even, honestly.
I like to hear that.
But
Why? Because everyone's been telling you got to host.
But I'm a
No.
Hogan. I'm a Hogan homer, so I would actually probably lean. And I'm an Ingram. I like Ingram a lot, so I'd probably
I like
lean towards
Ingram, too.
Jason probably.
Oh, let's go.
I also had Zach Ertz. So
Oh, dang.
I had no real use. Or I guess I could have used him in flex, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, but then you're starting 2 tight ends.
and I had some lousy running backs or receivers. So
Does help you. That's true. It's pretty fair actually.
I liked it. Yeah, Cooper. He's been a bust this year. So
speaking of trust issues,
Yeah, that would have been.
do I start him this week now after Landry had 10 again?
no, you stick with Landry.
I mean, I'm sorry, or him or Robert Woods now. He's had 2 good games.
Robert Woods
probably
going.
sticking with Robert Woods.
Yeah,
but
going up against the Vikings.
still probably sticking with Robert Woods.
Somebody tweeted and asked about that, and I said that they should stick with Robert Woods. It was Robert Woods or Marquise Lee, and I said
I have
Robert.
him too.
I said Robert Woods over Marquise Lee just because Xavier Rhodes is most likely going to shadow Sammy Watkins, even though he's not been. He hasn't been the better receiver, but he is the better receiver. So
Yeah.
you're going to get Trey Waynes on Robert Woods, and he's hasn't looked good all year. So Robert Woods up.
Nice.
Up emoji. All right, my last one. Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas was mine, but Emmanuel Sanders had 6 receptions, 137 yards, 13.7 fantasy points, his second highest, or his most receiving yards this year, and his second highest point total. But this is his second time over 10 fantasy points, and I know Demaryius Thomas has had 2 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
is it 3?
Something like that.
He's completely touchdown dependent, so you haven't been able to really trust them. Each week in my rankings, I've always ranked Demaryius Thomas above Emmanuel Sanders, and I will probably keep it that way. I think Emmanuel Sanders, well, first of all, they have Brock Osweiler throwing to him,
Stevie
Yep.
Wonder's throwing the ball.
That's
which I skipped a segment. We'll get to that next. So, but I have Demaryius Thomas over Emmanuel Sanders. He's just a bigger receiver. I think he's a little easier to throw to. Sanders took advantage of a poor Patriots defense. So let's move on to our next section, and that is, did Brock Osweiler suck this week? And guys, did Brock Osweiler suck this week?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, let's move on to our next segment, Week 6 bold predictions. So let's read off last week's bold predictions. Brandon, can you hum some music in the background?
I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I think
So-
I got some. Hang on.
Oh.
Oh,
You can.
the producer,
It'll come on.
the sub producer coming in.
Coming in clutch. See if it
Well,
happens.
we'll see about that. I don't hear any music yet.
I know. I'm slow.
All right, so Week 10, Austin said Le'Veon Bell will score at least 2 rushing touchdowns, and that was incorrect because he scored 0 touchdowns.
Ooh.
Brandon's first one, and overly used one. Ryan Suckup will outscore Adrian Peterson, and that's correct. Adrian Peterson had 2.2 points, and Ryan Suckup had a blazing 6 points.
My man Ryan. To the 4th time that's worked for me.
I think you're gonna have to pick something else.
6 points.
No. This week, you probably have it as the same bet. Do you have?
Yeah, if Ryan Suckup in there again, it
Yes.
keeps working.
Those are my favorite. Keep
Yeah.
doing them.
Oh,
And they should never work, but they do.
All right, my first one, Ted. Ted Ginn will be a top 12 receiver.
Oh.
Just press the cough button.
Greet him, Brandon. I need a drink of water.
Let's see here.
And that was not correct. Incorrect.
I'm trying. Oh, there it is. It is incorrect. He was the 97th, so very close. There's Jason there. Austin's second prediction was Ryan Fitzmagic will be a top 10 quarterback. I don't know what he was thinking, but that is incorrect. He was the 26th, which is tragic.
It doesn't get much lower
Considering
than
there was only 28 starting quarterbacks.
that. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And I mean, I'm one to talk. Kelvin Benjamin will be a top 10 quarterback. Yeah, good one. He was what, 54?
He didn't even place as a quarterback. He's actually a wide receiver.
Oh, I'm sorry, wide receiver. Sorry, I don't even. Yeah, and he was the 54th.
So
Wow.
What was it
we
doing?
skipped over Jonathan. Jonathan
Oh, Where's it?
I see
At the
how it
bottom.
is.
Oh, the computer scrolled up and cut off your name. I didn't even notice.
It's
It
all right.
actually was not.
I'll
So
forgive you.
Totally
Jonathan's first one, Doug Baldwin, will outscore Melvin Gordon. He did this one 3 times last year and lost. Finally gets the
It
victory.
worked.
Doug Baldwin doubled up Melvin Gordon.
I
He
love
had
it.
9.5 points standard. Melvin Gordon had 4.2. So congrats,
Oh,
Jonathan.
thank you. I
Jonathan.
finally won a got. I finally won a got
We're
a
all struggling.
bold prediction.
We're doing this. Oh my goodness, we're doing this podcast about 2 hours later and
Yeah.
struggling.
Obviously, our brains and tongues are feeling it.
So we've done Austin's second one. We've done Brandon's second one. Kelvin Benjamin, top 10 wide receiver. Incorrect. He was the 54th.
Close.
Yeah.
Barely
Very
missed
close.
it.
Oof.
My second one, Case Keenum will be a top 10 QB, and that was correct. He was balling, 5th best QB.
Nice.
Right behind him was Jonathan's boy, CJ Beathard. He's the
Yeah.
6th best
Yeah.
quarterback. And then Jonathan's second one, Carlos Hyde, will be a top 7 running back, and he was the 23rd best running back.
Tragic.
I mean, yeah. That one was definitely wrong. Oh, we got an ad.
You ever
Sorry,
did
guys.
that?
They do not sponsor us. You know who does sponsor us, Brandon?
Say toiletlosers.com.
Backslash.
/.
Toiletlosers.com/. It's how you get
What?
to. Is how it
I keep
links.
hearing backslash. Okay, I guess toiletlosers.com /.
And that'll
These
take you to
nice-
the Amazon page.
Exactly. These nice, high quality toilet trophies. Perfect for any loser in your league. Such as potentially you.
Mm.
You don't want the trophy, but you want the trophy.
Right, you are.
You know what I mean. All right, so let's do this week's bold predictions. Jonathan.
My first one is that Rex Burkhead will be a top 17 back this week. I'm trying
Interesting.
I know. I'm trying. Me. I usually go too bold, so I'm trying to
Rex
Bring
Burkhead
it
will have
down a little.
200 rushing yards this week and a touchdown.
bringing it down.
All right, Brandon, your first one.
Well, my first one is going to involve
Ryan
a
Suckup.
favorite of mine, and that is Riot Suckup. And, since he's been winning me a lot, I'll make it a little bolder, just for you guys, for you listeners, because I like you a lot. I'd say Ryan Suckup, I forgot his name for a second, Ryan Suckup outscores Le'Veon Bell this week.
Oh,
You are a fool.
that is bold.
That is very bold.
Yeah, he's 3 for 3 with me right now, so,
Brandon 0 for 1, getting a little cocky with Ryan Suckup.
I don't care.
Austin's first one. I question the boldness of both of his, but I'll read him anyway. Travis Kelce scores 20 plus. And the reason I question that boldness is because tight ends playing the Giants this year have scored a touchdown on them every week. So,
Yeah.
Well, it's only 6 points. He's still got 15 to go.
I mean, but if they've been getting torched by tight ends, why wouldn't he do well?
And it's Travis Kelce.
Considering he's what? He might have been the number 1 tight end.
I think he was.
Yep, so the number 1 tight end overall scoring 20 plus. I mean, very bold, Austin. My first one, Jay Ajayi finishes as a top 5 running back this week.
Okay.
I like it.
Top what?
Top 5.
Okay. I think it's a top 25 for a sec. I'm like, yeah, real bold.
Yeah,
Cancel.
Brandon. I'm not like you and your Ryan Suckup bets. But Jonathan, your second one.
My second one, I'm gonna copy Brandon a little bit.
Excuse me.
boy.
But I'm gonna choose a different kicker.
Okay. I was
Not Suckup.
better not be Suckup.
I'm doing
Will
Jake
Lutz. Oh,
Jake Elliott scores more points than LaShawn McCoy.
who's Jake Elliott?
The
He's
Eagles kicker.
the Eagles kicker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never even heard of him.
Yep. But yeah,
Another kicker one. I feel like I should do a kicker one for my next one.
peer pressure.
Brandon, you're up.
Well, my number 2 is I hope this isn't true. I hope it's not. But Nathan Peterman, the Bills' new starting quarterback, fails to score 10 fantasy points this week.
Would you also want to do Tyrod Taylor scores more fantasy points than Nathan Peterman?
I most definitely would not. 'Cause he's not going to score any points unless Peterman gets hurt.
They could bench him.
Yeah, what if he plays terrible?
Yeah. What if he throws
Oh,
an interception?
The organization hates Tyrod Taylor, which
Actually-
I'll go further into
Yeah,
in an
he's-
upcoming
I
segment.
can't wait.
So my next one is Brandon Cooks will have at least 150 receiving yards.
Okay.
So borderline bold. He
150?
hasn't done it this year.
I
so.
mean,
That's a
that's
lot.
doubled than what he's getting usually. Usually getting around 70, so it's pretty bold.
Thank you. I appreciate that support. And then Austin's second one, which I question the boldness again. Chargers will be a top 3 defense going against.
Yeah, they're going against Nathan Peterman.
Nathan Peterman-led Bills.
Oh, wow.
The Bills got killed last week with a decent quarterback, and now they're going to get killed with a guy from Pitt.
That one, no, I don't buy
like
it.
a fifth-round draft pick.
How about we change it and say it's the Packers defense?
I like it. Austin, the Packers defense will be a top 3 defense this week.
Well, I mean, they are playing the Ravens. The Ravens aren't any good.
Yeah.
It's more bold, though.
It is.
Bold.
It's definitely more bold than that. So, let's move on to our next section, the much-awaited section. And that would be Brandon's rant, specifically on the Bills. Or on, I'll let you go into it. Just take it away.
It's those Bills, man. It's those damn Bills. Every year, they finally had some momentum and they blow it. Now, what I alluded to earlier about how they hate Tyrod Taylor's every season for the past 3 seasons, going into the season, they're like, oh, you know what? The quarterback job's open. It's a competition to see who gets it. He never wins a starting role because, of course not. Because that's good for the quarterback's confidence. But he keeps winning because, contrary to popular belief, he actually isn't that bad. But last week, he did get benched because, let's be honest, they got stomped on by New Orleans, who, by the way, New Orleans are no joke. But, I feel like too much blame is going to Tyrod because, we all know Tyrod gave up 298 rushing yards last game. And Tyrod also gave up 6 rushing touchdowns. The Bills also gave up 482 rushing yards. All of those Tyrod Taylor gave up. And you might say, well, he probably played poorly, and that's why they had so many opportunities. He only threw 1 pick, so, that's not that bad. Granted, he didn't get many yards, but he also didn't throw the ball much.
Nathan Peterman threw 0.
Oh, yeah, okay. And throughout the season, he has the same passer rating as Derek Carr. And he has more wins than Derek Carr. I don't see anybody questioning if Derek Carr should be benched. So I don't know why everyone is all of a sudden getting on Tyrod for this. A 10-3 interception ratio, which is good, but you might say, you know what, 10 touchdowns throughout 9 games, that's not that good, which it isn't. But they also hardly throw the ball in the red zone, so that's probably why. He also has a 64% completion rating and the 3rd most rushing yards as a quarterback, and those 2 stats are good. So, again, they're benching that. I feel like more of the blame should go to the offensive line. I guess the defense has been playing well up to last week. And LaShawn McCoy. Yeah, I know. LaShawn McCoy. I said it. My boy. But he's been played very poorly this season, averaging only about 3.8 yards a carry, which you might say that's part the offensive line fault, which I get it. But in past seasons, he's rushed behind worse offensive lines and found more success. For some stats on that, last game he attempted 8 attempts for 49 yards, which is good, but he got 36 yards on 1 carry. So other than that, he had 7 carries for 13 yards. So when they were in the hole, that's how they got so many opportunities, the Saints, to score, because when you're rushing the ball for 1.9 yards each attempt, you're going to have some problems other than that 1 rush. He only has 3 games this season with 4 or more, or with more than 4 yards a carry, which isn't good either. That's a 33% rate. It also goes down to the Bills' management. They need to change the game plan because if they're going to be a run-first team, they can't have a lousy line and they can't have an underperforming running back there. But I'm just glad all of these issues are Tyrod Taylor's fault, and I'm glad that they're finally starting the true caliber, the true quarterback, Nathan Peterman.
Is that you?
That's it. That's it. I was so heated when I saw that this morning. Because all the problems they have been having really haven't been his fault, but they've panicked. They're like, we're having problems. Tyrod, get out of here.
It's got to be the QB.
Yeah. Which, he's been checked down a lot, but he probably does it because they tell him to.
Yeah. And he hasn't had many weapons either.
Yeah.
He lost Watkins. He lost Clay.
He lost Woods.
Yeah.
He lost Goodwin, and Goodwin's no good, but he's
He's
been okay on the Niners. He's been one of the very, 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 very few bright spots on the Niners.
Why are we throwing shade at the Niners?
What I'm saying,
supposed to be on the Bills.
What I'm saying is they've gotten rid of everybody. I can't even remember the backup tight end's name who he was throwing to. I'm totally blank on it.
Nick O'Leary.
Yeah, Nick O'Leary. Yeah, Nick O'Leary's his number one target. And Kelvin Benjamin.
Dude's a baller.
Kelvin Benjamin, while everyone says he's been a disappointment this season, right?
No, maybe.
Kinda.
He's been kind of a disappointment.
Yeah.
He had, when he got traded, he had 40 more yards than all of the Bills receivers combined. Or 40 less.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean,
So that shows
Zay
that Tyrod
Jones.
Taylor's not passing enough.
yeah, he's throwing to Zay Jones, who got hurt 3 times in one game 2 weeks ago.
Hey, he's fragile.
Apparently.
Let the man be.
He's made of glass too.
Yeah.
Jonathan's favorite go-to for injury-prone players.
It's true.
So, thank you for that rant, Brandon. Tyrod Taylor being done dirty, just like Kirk Cousins. So let's move on to our next section.
Started on that.
And Brandon's boys just getting shade thrown at him by their organizations.
Yeah, for nothing.
So let's move on to our section, QB problems. So
Speaking of which,
Jonathan, just
Yeah,
go
exactly.
for it.
It's a good segue right now. This one kind of came about because it seems like a QB wasteland right now. There's been so many quarterback injuries or benchings that it's just hard. It's hard to find a good starting quarterback in your league if you don't have Tom Brady or Jared Goff or
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton.
Yeah, depending on the week.
Right. I'm just saying there's not too many solid quarterbacks you can start week to week. It seems like
The well of quarterbacks is drier than my DMs, dude. I'll tell you that much.
I like this. I saw
Wow.
this tweet. There's these are the quarterbacks that could be starting. All of them are going to be starting except one may possibly be. But Nathan Peterman, Blaine Gabbert, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Tom Savage, Brock Osweiler, C.J. Beathard. He has a bye week, but he's been playing.
Deshaun Kaiser. Don't
Deshaun
forget him.
Kaiser and Kellen Clemens if Rivers is out.
And don't even forget the Packers quarterback.
Brett Hundley.
Brett Hundley, dude.
Yeah.
Brett Hundley.
And Case Keenum.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, and he's one that has actually been good. But just all the names of all the other quarterbacks wouldn't have even thought they'd be starting this year. So.
Yeah.
Did we forget to mention Brock Osweiler too while we were at it?
Well,
Was that not on the list?
I have the list right here of
Oh.
injured/benched quarterbacks. We have Aaron Rodgers, Carson Palmer, Jameis Winston, Tyrod Taylor, Ryan Tannehill, Trevor Siemian, Deshaun Watson, Andrew Luck I put on there, Brian Hoyer, and I had Deshaun Kaiser, kinda. And then also the Bears quarterback, I really didn't count him.
Was it Glennon?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Matt Glennon.
yeah.
No,
Can't remember
was
his name.
terrible. So.
I think it's Matt Glennon.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Mike.
think so.
Mike.
Mike Glennon.
Even
There we go.
McGloin
That
is
sounds better.
playing. McGloin's playing right now. I mean,
Yeah.
he's been solid, but I mean,
And it's so the point of this segment is coming up with some considerations that people could pick up and start, either just this 1 week or from now on.
And to mention, what was it? EJ Manuel started a game this year.
Trash.
Yes, exactly. So, first one, quarterback help, Jonathan.
My first one, he won't help you out this week, but possibly next week, and it's my boy C.J. Beathard. Every game he started, he's had double-digit fantasy points, and last week he had 3 total touchdowns for a total of 25 fantasy points. The points may be garbage time, mostly garbage time, but they still count. Garbage time points still count. So for Jason, it depends on when Garoppolo comes in, but he is still someone that you could potentially start that I like.
I'd rather put nobody in my quarterback slot than start CJ Beathard.
Well, then you'll lose every game.
Yeah, that's true. Supposedly Garoppolo is supposed to come back and play after the bye week, but yeah, we'll see if he actually plays this year. I think it'd be smart to keep playing CJ Beathard and lose out the season for a better draft pick.
I agree.
Brandon, do you want to go with your first one, or do you want me to go?
I can go.
All right.
And I actually I'm putting my money where my mouth is because I was stuck in the same awful scenario this morning, or yesterday, one of the 2 days. So I was one of the few unfortunate people who started Tyrod last week. Got me like 2.5 points. I lost by 1 point that game. So yeah, that was a real gut punch. But after that performance, I was planning on ridding myself of him. And then after seeing the benching that he got, I also planned on ridding myself of him. And through our league, when we went into the I went to the players section, the top option I felt at least was Marcus Mariota. And that's how dry it is. But I feel he's averaging only 14, but he had the game. I think he's left 2 games early and had a 0 for a game because he didn't play. So after that, he's probably around the 17 to 18 point area ish, give or take. I didn't do the math, but I feel like he's a better option than most, considering the people who were left were people like Fitzpatrick, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning. I guess. Oh, I didn't even see Case Keenum there. Maybe give Case Keenum a start. Not sure. Probably not. But I feel like he's the safest pick because even Keenum, as I'm looking now, has had multiple weeks where he didn't have double digits. Where I think the only ones where Mariota had are games he didn't finish.
Yeah, and his rushing is going to be a little bit better because his hamstring has completely healed. At least to the naked eye, it looks like. So
yeah,
my first one, I have Blake Bortles. I mean, in most of my leagues, the quarterback waiver wire spot it's pretty bare. So Blake Bortles is going to be one of the better options I feel out there. Last 3 weeks, he's averaging just over 16 points per game. The Jaguars' run game is credible this year, so defenses have to focus on that, which leaves players like Marquise Lee and Allen Hurns and possibly D.D. Westbrook this year open. So, I mean, it's not a great quarterback. I mean, I really wouldn't be happy about him, but he can get you through if you've had an injury or going through
and
a bye
he's playing
week.
the Browns.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Especially if you need a quarterback this week, it's the perfect pickup. But, yeah, I think you can
tell that to Ben Roethlisberger.
Exactly.
Got him.
But, yeah, I like that, too. Bortles had double-digit games every week but 2. So you can almost count on double-digit points, which is pretty good.
He's been strangely consistent, too. Like, 3 weeks ago, 16.3. 2 weeks ago, 16.2. Last week, 16.2 again. Yeah. And last week, he threw two interceptions to 1 touchdown and still ended with 16.
Yeah.
Some miraculously. But, I mean,
still startable.
Yeah. And he's the type of quarterback he'll at least throw the ball. It's not like he's going to check down all game like Tyrod and get you 2.5 points.
True.
If they didn't bench him, I would have won that game.
Jonathan's second one.
Yeah, my second one. Brandon touched upon this, but it is Case Keenum. I think
I had him as well.
Yeah, just because he's on fire right now. He had 4 touchdowns last week. He's looking really good. But I think one thing to consider with him is that he is on a short leash. If he's not doing well, they have Teddy Bridgewater now. So that was my second. That's my other option. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater. If you have a quarterback you're starting right now, but you want a second one on your bench, Teddy Bridgewater is not a bad pickup. Just because, I mean, he's healthy again. He was doing really well before he got injured. And then Vikings seem like they're going to be in the playoffs. They're rolling. They're doing well.
Deeper league ad, though,
yes.
I would say.
Maybe if you're like in a 2-quarterback league.
Right, yeah.
Or either 12-plus team league.
He's another guy I don't like how he's getting treated. Throws 4 touchdowns, and they're like, Teddy's back. He's like, they're like debating the start.
Yeah.
Like Teddy was any good before the injury. Like, I don't know.
He's their guy. They spent either a late first or an early second round pick on him. So I mean,
yeah,
they tend to give those guys a long leash,
Just
aka Blake Bortles.
True.
So my next one, he was on the top of one of my leagues. So Phillip Rivers, just easy schedule going forward. Next 4 games, he has the Bills, Cowboys, Browns, and Redskins. You're not scared of any of those defenses. And then in 4 out of his last 6 games, he had at least 2 passing touchdowns. So he's kind of struggled this year, but he's still not playing that bad. He's still going to get you, 13 to 15 points at his lowest. That's his floor right now. So if he even picks it up or regresses back to the mean, which I think is around 18 points averaging, then I think you're going to be pretty happy, especially if you picked him up off the bench.
Very true.
So, Jonathan, you want to go to your next one?
That's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brandon?
I find it really hard to suggest any of these people, to be honest. Like, even if you're like, oh, start Eli Manning. Like, Eli's had, let's see, 1, he's had, I guess, only 3 single-digit ones, but before OBJ or after OBJ went down, the most points he's had was 16, and that was against San Francisco.
Speaking of Eli Manning, we'll move on to our next section, and that is next and last section. That is our frequently asked questions section, and I don't have this one written down, but Eli Manning I've been asked about a couple times, or we've been asked about a couple times this week, and it's basically Eli Manning or Blake Bortles or Eli Manning or somebody else, and I've been leaning towards Eli Manning. If you go to frontlinefantasyfootball.com, you can check out our weekly rankings, but it was Eli Manning or Case Keenum was one of them, and I said Eli Manning over Case Keenum, which may surprise you, but
yeah,
the Chiefs' defense has not been that great. The second and third cornerback, they've been getting just picked on all year, rightfully so. They've been giving up a ton of yards.
And a ton of points,
yeah,
too.
Yeah, literally a ton of fantasy points. So I think Eli Manning should be able to take advantage of that. I know you're going to look at last week and be like, oh, he played the Niners and he did nothing, but the Niners are a defense-first team. They may not have that great of players. They may have been getting torched all year, but I still think Eli is going to – not that the Chiefs aren't, but I still think Eli is going to take advantage of those second and third cornerbacks. I think Sterling Shepard's going to have a big game. I have Eli ranked as my 14th quarterback, Case Keenum as my 15th quarterback this week.
And I can see that game being really high-scoring just because the Giants' defense has basically given up. So, the Chiefs are just going to rack up points, which means Eli's just going to have to sling it. It seems like.
Which is always a scary thought.
It is. But
you're happy if you own Sterling Shepard or Evan Ingram.
True.
So your first frequently asked question, Jonathan.
One I've been seeing a lot is we've gotten a little bit more clarity on is the Cowboy running backs. And kind of just a little snapshot. Alfred Morris played 22 snaps, had 11 touches. Rod Smith played 38 snaps, had 7 touches, and Darren McFadden had 1 snap with 1 touch. Yeah, it's ugly.
Like that.
There's a reason he was shut down at the beginning of the season. It wasn't to preserve him.
It was not to rest his legs. No, but so obviously Morris seems like the early down back, kind of ground and pound for second down. Smith seems like the third down back or obvious passing situations, and then McFadden's just not even a factor.
So who do you want going forward?
And it's tough. I think I would lean Morris over everybody in games where it's like a positive game script where it's an easier matchup. This week against Philadelphia, I don't really want to start him at all.
I feel like they're going to get blown out.
Yeah. And Philadelphia's defense is really good, and I just think the Cowboys are going to be playing from behind. So this week I'd probably rather start Smith. But going forward, Morris.
If you had to start one.
Yeah. If I had to start one, I would start Smith.
Rest of the season, though?
Rest of the season, Morris, and then Smith.
I'd agree with you. Brandon, you're first, or do you have any frequently asked questions, or do you want me to go with my second?
Go with yours.
Mine? Okay. So my first one, basically, who should I pick up, Rex Burkhead or Dion Lewis? So this is kind of more applicable to Monday night, or Tuesday night, sorry. But I would lean more towards Dion Lewis just because they're using him special teams. Weirdly enough, they run him through the tackles, and he's not exactly a big running back, but he does a pretty good job. He's pretty shifty. I mean, he makes a lot of people miss, and I think they're going to keep sticking with him. He was a stud last season before he got hurt, and I think he's finally getting back to that. So I would go Dion Lewis, then Rex Burkhead. If I were ranking them.
And I think it depends on if you're standard or PPR.
Right.
Because PPR, I would probably lean towards Burkhead right now.
Right.
But standard, definitely Dion Lewis.
I would agree with that as well.
I'd say Lewis too, just because 4 games in a row he's had double-digit carries, where last week was the first week where Burkhead did.
True. My second one was DeMarco Murray. I feel like we kind of talked about him a little bit, but a lot of people. And it's kind of twofold. Derrick Henry, I feel like a lot of people ask questions about too, just because they're both vying for carries. So, like last week, DeMarco Murray had 14 carries. Henry only had 11. So basically, they're both risky starts, is my thing. But I still think you really can't start Henry at all.
No, I have him on my team as well, and I've only started him once, and that was just the scarcity of players and on bye weeks and
How'd it work out for you?
yeah, not well.
Not well, okay.
Played the Browns that week. Got 2 goal line carries and couldn't complete them, so it couldn't even get me the 6 points.
Oof.
My next one, basically, I think this one's an easy one, but it's just a popular pickup this week, is Austin Elker, the real deal, or whatever, however you say his name.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon's backup.
Yeah. This one's tough.
No, he's not. No, it's not tough.
That man
John.
went in there and fumbled the game away.
He fumbled the game away, yeah, but look at Melvin Gordon's been struggling. He has, 3-point-something yards per carry.
Melvin Gordon is good.
Well, he is good.
He hasn't had over 4 his entire career.
Right. But
so nothing's changed.
I don't know. I just think I can see Eckler just being the standard passing down back and going from there.
Don't pick up Eckler.
He's a stash. I would say he's a stash.
Okay,
but he's nothing else. But he's definitely not startable.
League.
Yes, in a PPR league, he's a stash.
Don't touch
real
him
veal or fake veal?
Fake veal. Fake veal for sure.
Real veal or fake veal?
What's the mediocre meal?
Mediocre seal. Or mediocre dinner. I think you brought in that one.
That'd be my option here.
I don't want him. I don't believe in him. I think he had 2 50-plus yard touchdowns last week, so I mean, he had to do a ton of work to score. Melvin Gordon's the man. Don't waste your time with Eckler. Jonathan, your next question.
My other one was David Johnson, which we already talked about. I feel like everyone talks about if he's going to play, if he's going to come back this season. If he comes back, is he actually going to play? That kind of a thing. But I think a lot of it comes down to when he's going to be healthy, which seems to be in 2 to 3 weeks, and if Cardinals are still in the playoff contention, and if they want to risk playing him, pretty much. It seems like David Johnson wants to play, but I don't know if the coaches want him to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The weird part is that Adrian Peterson is there now, and Brandon.
He's no good.
Compared to David Johnson is leagues ahead of Adrian Peterson.
Yes,
not just leagues, light years.
I wouldn't go that far. But Adrian Peterson's a quality back, and so,
relatively speaking,
past his time.
Are you going to see a bunch of carries taken away from David Johnson? I would think so.
He shouldn't.
No,
especially since he's injured, and they're not gonna give him 35 touches a game. I wouldn't think they would. I would feel like he would get 15 and AP would get 15. They could just kind of work him back in.
David Johnson can do a lot with 15 carries.
He can.
That's my thing. I don't know. If he's playing, I'm starting him.
Okay.
But I'm crossing my fingers.
Yeah, that's tough, but I mean, you probably have to just because
I might not
last year's production.
Week 1, I probably won't, because I know I'll get burnt by like the 2 carries, 5 yards, just to get him back into the flow of things.
Right, and that's week 13 or 14, which is playoffs. So.
Well, I got to think you do play him because basically this year the trend is when a person finally comes back, they play really well that first game, or they get traded. Just AKA Doug Martin.
True.
Adrian Peterson, not Kelvin Benjamin, I guess, but there was somebody else who did.
Jay Ajayi.
Yes, Jay Ajayi. So,
a lot of them though weren't returning from injury. But Ajayi wasn't hurt.
But still, you're just a change of scenery,
new team, new playbook.
Just I don't know.
A real offensive line.
Yes, a real team.
Doug Martin coming back from a suspension. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just saying, when the first game back, I'm just saying that 3 out of 4 did pretty well. So. Double-digit fantasy points.
True.
And I like double-digit fantasy points.
Those are nice.
So my next one is Aaron Jones droppable. Injured.
Yes.
Yeah. Going to be out for a while.
He's out 3 to 6 weeks with a MCL injury, I believe.
No.
And it's just, even when he was healthy, he was split in the backfield with Ty Montgomery. He still wasn't startable.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on this one.
Don't like him.
Also, Ty Montgomery. He's injured, could possibly play this week. Still dealing with that lingering rib injury, so it's not like he could end up going in, getting hit in the ribs, and coming out immediately.
Speaking of him, I don't like him in general. Not as a person, but as a player.
I was going to say, you don't even know him.
Yeah. Like last week, he had 1 big carry, which got him like 90% of his points. And have you seen that?
Isn't that all running backs?
Have you seen that man run? That dude's slow. Do you expect another big run out of him?
Well, he's injured.
he's gonna be injured this week too.
Yeah. So is
Like-
he droppable?
Ooh, you might be able to finesse someone real good for him.
I'm still keeping him just on my bench.
I talked to a guy today, and
I'd hold on to
he
him, but-
traded Ty Montgomery for Ezekiel Elliott because he knew he was going to be in the playoffs.
What?
Smart man.
That is very smart.
Yeah.
Ty
I like
Montgomery's
that.
not gonna do a thing for him if he's already in the playoffs.
True.
So I thought that was really interesting, but yeah, nice pickup for him.
That's a good trade. I
and
like
then
it.
kind of tagging in with that, does Ty Montgomery or Jamal Williams rest of the season? I know Jamal Williams wasn't that impressive when he came in earlier this season, so
I think
is neither an option.
just rest of the season. What do you think, B?
I don't like either. I'd say probably leaning towards Montgomery, but that is saying nothing.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I think you definitely have to go Montgomery just because he's shown you that he can perform well in certain circumstances with Rodgers playing. Yes, but I just think
Well,
you
he's
have.
got Hundley now, so
I know.
the next best thing.
It's true. Yeah, but I just think Ty Montgomery, he's more proven. Jamal Williams was the third string back. There's a reason he was the third string back. I would go with Ty Montgomery.
It's not because he was good.
Right.
I'm with you guys as well. Jonathan, do you have any more?
No, that's all I got.
All right, so just real quick, a Twitter question popped up
Ooh.
from Chris. Ooh.
Oh.
Would you trade Jay Ajayi for Alshon Jeffrey?
No.
Here's my running back wide receiver
Oh.
situation.
Oh, nice. He even explained it.
I like that.
That's
Yeah.
smart.
With
He's
the,
using those 280 characters to his advantage.
Yeah, the
Oh.
280 characters.
Thanks, Twitter.
Kind of a nice little add-on. So here's his running back, or here's his situation. He has Hunt, Ajayi, Forte, Henry, Coleman. Derrick Henry, Tevin Coleman, Jamal Williams, and then his wide receivers: Antonio Brown, Golden Tate, Larry Fitzgerald, Sterling Shepard.
Oh, I'd trade for I'd keep Ajayi.
I'd keep Ajayi too.
I'd keep Ajayi as well.
Your he has really good wide receivers.
Yeah,
Even
I mean,
Shepard will be solid.
Yeah, Sterling Shepard's going to be solid. Fitzgerald's been consistent. We don't completely know now with Blaine Gabbert, but he was good with Stanton. Antonio Brown, obviously, stud. And Golden Tate's been a stud throughout this year.
Those are
So
the only two you need. Antonio Brown, Golden Tate.
right, so Hunt, Ajayi. Yeah, you don't want Matt Forte's inconsistent. Derrick Henry's not that great. Tevin Coleman, I like, though. He keeps scoring. And, what's his face?
Freeman's hurt.
Yeah, Devonta Freeman is going to be out this week. So, I'd say keep your roster. So that's going to do it for this week's podcast. Brandon, take it away.
I'll take it away. I'll take you right to a great place full of sunshine and rainbows called FrontlineFantasyFootball.com. It's got the best advice you will ever see. FrontlineFantasyFootball.com. Great blogs. You like hangovers? Go to the Fantasy Hangover. The best one you'll ever get. 2 of them this week. Yeah, that's right. 2 of them. You want to go to YouTube? Psh, fine. You can go to YouTube. Go to Frontline Fantasy Football on YouTube too. Great, huh? Well, what if you want to listen to this on your Apple device? Well, we got that covered too.
Apple Podcast.
Apple Podcasts, Frontline Fantasy Football. It's that simple. If you got fingers, you can type it in. If you got a hand, you can click it and click download or even subscribe. We really like that. You can also if you want to be featured on the show next week with a question, feel free to tweet us questions at FrontlineFF on Twitter.com. I got stumbled up. And yeah, that's just about it. It's the utopia for fantasy football. It's the greatest thing ever.
Also, trophies?
Oh, tired of losing and tired of getting just awful trophies like ours that we have. Somebody took a Happy Meal toy and hammered it down onto a piece of wood. Well, if you're tired of that, how about you go pick up yourself one of these? If you're listening to this audio, you won't be able to see it. But if you're on the visual podcast, you will be able to see these trophies at Toilet Loser / It'll take you to a
ToiletLoser.com
/ Sorry. It'll take you.
We'll put a link on our website.
Link in the website. It'll take you to this great place for these very high quality die-cast trophies. And if you want to see what they look like, we'll tweet out a picture of them too, just for you, because we like you a lot.
So that'll do it for our Week 11 podcast. Thanks for listening. Remember, score more fantasy points than your opponent this week. Until next time.
Sayonara. Sayonara's dead.